Hey, this is Daniel with the Nostril, and today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite fragrances from the last few years from the house of Tiziana Terenzi. I'm talking about Spirito Fiorentino. Leathery, slightly more masculine, slightly drier take on the famous DNA of Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 540. Now, this scent certainly is inspired by or kind of working in the general direction, the general vicinity of BR 540, but in many ways it does its own thing, and I end up reaching for it probably more often than I end up reaching for the Maison Francis Kurkdjian original. So if you want to know a little bit more about the note breakdown, what I think of the scent, what situations I think it's going to be most appropriate to wear in, and also just in general, the vibe of the scent and what it's gonna do when you're wearing it. Stay tuned. We're gonna talk about it today. Tiziana Terenzi is an interesting house, and I say that I mean that in a few different ways. For one, all of the scents that I've smelled from the house have been immensely just extremely well blended, and they just smell of quality and class. There's clearly Paolo Terenzi, the nose behind most of the fragrances from the house, is a talented guy when it comes to the chemistry and art of putting together a fragrance. But they're also interesting in another sense, which is that there seem to be an awful lot of inspired by or some would say, perhaps in a little bit of a derogatory way, clones that come from the house. In particular, I can think of Laudano Nero, which is supposed to be a clone or inspired by Black Afghano by Nasamato. And then also Orion, which is supposedly a clone or heavily inspired by Creed's Aventus. Now, the first time you smell Spirito Fiorentino by Tiziana Terenzi, it is going to be really obvious what scent this was inspired by. It's 100% clear to me that Paolo Terenzi smelled Baccarat Rouge 540 and said, yeah, I can do that, but better. And in a way, I think that's kind of, I haven't ever spoken with Paolo Terenzi. So I have no idea what his actual inspiration is, but the way I imagine it going is Paolo thinking, yeah, I like this scent, but I can do it better. Here's my version of it. And in many ways, if there was a competition between Baccarat Rouge 540, either the EDP or the Extrait or Spirito Fiorentino, I think this is going to win. There is, right off the top, this kind of amazingly smooth yet dry leather note that I would not have expected to complement the sweet saffron kind of almost candied almond-esque quality of Baccarat Rouge 540. But those notes mix together so well here that I often find myself reaching for this more often than I do for the Maison Francis Kurkdjian originals. Now, I don't actually own a bottle currently of the EDP of Baccarat Rouge 540, but I do own the Extrait. And nose to nose, scent to scent to my nose, there are quite a few similarities here. That slightly candied almond accord, that wonderful kind of deep, maybe not savory sweetness, but a really well-rounded ambery sweetness that comes from Baccarat Rouge 540. Spirito Fiorentino does that really well also. There are, however, some ways that this differs. Now, there's clearly, to me, some kind of ambroxan aroma chemical happening in both of these. Both claim that it's ambergris, but I smell nothing. If it is in fact real ambergris, it is such a clean ambergris that it's almost unrecognizable. To me, it smells like there's a really tastefully blended, musky ambergris aroma chemical going on in these two. Maybe it could be ambroxan, it could be cetylox, I'm not sure what it is, but the choice of aroma chemical here works really well. It provides that kind of slightly sharp, not really metallic here, it's more of just a sharp, clean musk that comes with both of these that works really well. And it's that note is so well blended into the sweetness, and in the case of the Tiziana Terenzi, the leather as well, that it's difficult to pull it apart from the rest of the notes in the scent. And I think that's to its credit. I think that it blends notes, Spirito Fiorentino blends notes extremely well, masterfully, I would even say. One of the major differences that I would say between the original Maison Francis Kurkdjian scent and Spirito Fiorentino is that this is sweeter. Now I'm talking about the extrait. In my experience, the EDP is less sweet than the extrait, and so it may end up being pretty similar in sweetness to Spirito Fiorentino. I don't know for sure because I don't have a sample on me right now, but to my memory, the Tiziana Terenzi is just slightly more dry, and in that way, I think it tends to lean slightly more maybe masculine compared to the original. I hate to use gender terms when I'm talking about fragrances, but I've read a number of people who feel the same way. That, I've read some people who say this is a masculine take on BR 540. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think that added leather note and the dryness of the scent, there's still sweetness there, but it's rounded down with a dryness, may appeal to socialized male noses more immediately than Baccarat Rouge 540 might. But there's another difference, and a really important difference between these two scents, other than the fact that this has a lovely dry suede leather note at the very beginning. And it's that I, like many people who love Baccarat Rouge 540, both in its EDP and extrait forms, tend to go nose blind to it very quickly. I can spray a little or a lot of this on, and either way, I'm going to stop being able to smell it on myself in about an hour, which is really sad. Now, others can smell it. I get people coming up and telling me, oh, what are you wearing? It smells amazing. But I stopped being able to enjoy it myself. And honestly, I'm not in this for the compliments. I'm in it to enjoy the scent. And so going nose blind to a scent, especially one as beautiful as Baccarat Rouge 540, really makes me sad. Now, the difference, though, is that Spirito Fiorentino by Tiziana Terenzi, I don't go nose blind to it. I keep smelling it throughout the day, and the performance, the sillage, projection, and longevity on this are excellent. Now, this is generally true of most of the Tiziana Terenzis that I've tried, but this is no exception. Spirito Fiorentino is, I wouldn't go quite as far as to call it a total nuclear beast of a scent, but it is a very strong performer. I can go 2 sprays on the neck, and I will still be smelling it when I get home from work if I put it on in the morning. If I spray it on at night, I will smell it in the morning. It is excellent. Projects about 3 or 4 feet from my skin, which is really good, I think, and consistently projects. I get projection even 5 hours into wearing it. And just like Baccarat Rouge 540, I find the projection kind of comes in waves. There are moments when it projects really well and moments that it's a little bit closer to the skin. But in general, projection about between 2 and 4 feet from my skin, even into the 5-hour mark, I still get that. It's really good. And let me just focus on the somewhat divisive bottle design of Spirito Fiorentino and really the whole Tiziana Terenzi line. So it's got this is a very red, I've seen black, gold, and white ones before, and I think I like the white ones the best. It has that kind of brushed, non-glossy glass to it, but this glass is glossy. I don't love the way that this bottle feels in my hands compared to the white versions of this that have the matte finish like Ursa or Vela or Orion. But it still is, I love this little design around the cap right here. I think that's really neat. But really the star of the show for the presentation is this cap. It's so heavy. I mean, it's the same as all the other ones in this line. Honestly, I'm side to side. I kind of feel like this weighs as much as the scent itself. Now, I've encountered some bottles that don't snap into place quite so well, but this one I can report really does. There is a click and it's well supported. I'm gonna put my hand underneath just in case, but you can kind of whip it around with the cap and it's no problem at all. Price-wise, I see this varying. I think the lowest I've seen it is $129. That's from Venba Fragrances. If you haven't checked out venbafragrances.com yet, please do. Some of the best pricing on niche fragrances online. Someone that I've purchased from before on Facebook owns the site. Kushik, thank you very much for putting together Venba Fragrances. It's awesome. And this bottle actually comes from Venba. Thank you. But $129 is the lowest that I've seen this at. I've seen it go as high, I mean, other than retail, which I think it's over $200 retail. But I think I've seen it go as high as $169 on discounters online. So honestly, in terms of pricing, I mean, a bottle of you'll be lucky to find a bottle of the Extrait of Baccarat Rouge 540 for less than $240 online. This is a tester bottle that I own. You can see there's that little tester sticker right there. And I think I paid just under $200 for this, and that was a good deal. I was very happy to find that. But for a 3.4 ounce bottle of stuff that performs just as well, if not better, than the original Baccarat Rouge 540, either the EDP or the Extrait, and that smells in many ways, to me, slightly better than the originals, it's a good deal. Even if you pay $169 for it, you're still way ahead compared to 2.4 ounces of the original. I keep saying the original, and it is hard to separate this scent from Baccarat Rouge 540. They are pretty close. But the subtleties of this scent, I don't know, I find it more wearable. I do. I find it more enjoyable to wear, and not least because I don't go nose blind to it. I smell it throughout the day. But the leather note that's added here, if you'd told me before that leather was a note that was going to be added to a BR540 type fragrance, I would have been pretty skeptical that I would like it. It works so well here. It's as I've said, it's a dry leather, but it mixes with that saffron and that ambergris ambroxan aroma chemical note extremely well. There's something cedary almost about it. It's a woody leather, if that makes any sense. And now there are some woods in this scent that are kind of playing with the top notes for sure, but the leather note is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, and it's a win. Paolo Terenzi, good job. For the price, certainly for $129.99, what I paid for this, absolutely. This is a no-brainer for me. Even for $170 or so, about the highest that I see it around right now on discounters, this is still a better deal than the Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Don't get me wrong, I love those scents. I reach for this fairly frequently, and as you can see, I've put a dent in my bottle. This, I just reach for more. It does something for me that BR540 doesn't. So I highly recommend this. This is a favorite in my rotation right now. And if you have any more questions about the scent that I have not answered, please feel free to ask questions below or leave a comment on how you feel about Spirito Fiorentino. I know it's a little bit controversial. Some people comment that leather note kind of has a pencil shavings vibe. I don't get that at all, but I understand that someone might. So if you do disagree with my take that this is actually better than the original BR540, please do comment below. I want to hear from you. And if not, then I hope at least you have an opportunity at some point to sample this wonderful scent from the house of Tiziana Terenzi. Spirito Fiorentino is a total win for me, comes highly recommended, and I hope you get a chance to put your nose on it sometime. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the review, and we'll see you soon.